Welcome to Inspired Vinyasa this morning. Take a comfortable seat and close your eyes. We're going to start with a nice deep inhale through the nose. Cleansing exhale through the mouth. Again, deep breath in. Loud exhale. And keeping your eyes closed, I want you to really be present in the body. I want you to notice every little thing. I want you to notice if you feel like you're sitting more forward than you are straight over the hips. Do you feel like you're sitting more into one sit bone than the other? Do you feel like one shoulder is bearing tension and weight while the other one seems like it's dropped a little lower? Noticing everything. Find the tension that's in the body. Find the peace that's in the body. Our theme today is about adjustments, not yoga adjustments, life adjustments. So I want you to really be present so that you know what adjustments need to be made. So as you sit in whatever pose you have chosen, do you need to make any little changes? Anything. I think I mentioned this quite a bit, that when I sit down in Siddhasana, I always am more forward of my hips. I have to consciously remember to pull myself back. So that's just a fine-tuning adjustment. What do you need? And then, still keeping the eyes closed, I want you to take your focus up to Ajna, third eye chakra, between the eyebrows. Just feel your gaze lifting behind closed eyelids. That center of intuition, I need you to ask it what adjustments need to be made for you today, mentally, spiritually. We've already figured out the physical. We'll keep working with that on the mat. But mentally and spiritually, what adjustments do you need today from your practice? And I am finding for myself that these adjustments are continual all day long. I am feeling like I constantly have to keep myself in check so that my human side doesn't go too far over towards perhaps anger, or it doesn't go too far into fear, which is the worst place for me to be in, or it doesn't go too far into worry or whatever it is. I'm constantly in check and balance mode, and maybe you are too. So what is it this morning that you need? Where do you find yourself? And then take another deep inhale. Let's let go of everything through the exhale. Inhale the arms up. Bring the palms together and release them home to your heart in prayer pose. And so as you set your intention for your practice this morning, will you add on something like, I am grateful for the universe stepping in to help me make these fine adjustments as I need them? When you're done, go ahead, release your hands. Drop the chin down toward the collarbone. Deep inhale into the back of the neck. And as you exhale, softly opening the eyes to gaze at the floor. And then bringing the head gently, peacefully, back to center. So from here, we're starting out this morning in Balasana, child's pose. So as you come down, take the knees wide, toes together, stretch the arms forward, soften the heart and the forehead down towards the earth. As always, if the forehead isn't quite making it down to the mat and you have a prop nearby, it could be anything. Go ahead and slide that underneath the forehead to support you. So you might notice once you get into child's pose, there are a few little changes and adjustments we just naturally make. You might notice how you kind of shift a little bit to get into that pose, or maybe you notice once the hands are reaching forward, you push the mat away from you so you can get the hips to sink down toward the heels just a little bit more. Or maybe you notice that once you're in child's pose, that's the place to breathe and let go. Whatever it is, we're focusing on these little changes that we make to accommodate. So I heard, I'm not sure this is the original owner of this quote, but Billy Ray Cyrus recently said that life is a series of adjustments. And that kind of got me thinking. So the word adjustment means a small change you make with the intention of meeting some type of goal. But it also refers to a new attitude or perception towards something in your life that has changed. So I think we've got all that going on. On the mat, we're going to focus on just little adjustments, little changes, and just see where it takes the mind. So staying in child's pose, our first little adjustment is going to be to walk the hands to the right in twisted child's pose. So try to bring the heart over that right thigh and knee, soften the head back down. And this time the head might not make it to the ground because your leg's in the way. That's totally fair. Deepen the breath. I want you to take your focus to the breath and notice if the breath is making any adjustments. Does the breath seem even paced? Is each breath like the one before it? Or maybe they're all different. Maybe one, I don't know, it starts out as a peaceful breath, but it turns into a loud sigh. And it's a feeling of letting go and just noticing, just consciously paying attention. And then take another deep inhale. Huge exhale. And when you're ready, we're going to walk the hands back to center. And then take them all the way to the left. Twisted child's pose to the other side. Good job. Stay there for a couple more breaths. And then deep inhale. Big exhale. Take the hands back to center. So from here, I'm going to rise up into table. I want to bring those knees closer together, hip distance apart, wrists underneath the shoulders. Inhale into cow, and let's hold it right here for a moment. Keep breathing. Nice. When you get to an exhale, let's round this out into cat. We're going to hold it right there. On an inhale, come back to cow. So we're going to create a vinyasa. Your exhale will have two movements to it. So First part of your exhale is rounding into cat. Second part of the exhale is pushing back to child's pose, keeping the knees where they are. The first part of my inhale is going to be to drop my elbows and forearms, slide my heart through, and then push up into cow pose. So exhale, we round it out, push back towards Balasana. Inhale, drop the elbows, heart slides through, lift into cow. Keep going. Let's go around one more time. We'll meet in child's pose. And then let's make one little adjustment. Can you do that backwards? So we're going to come up rounding into cat pose, sink into cow, drop the forearms and elbows to the earth, push back to child's pose. I'm going to let you decide how you want to link the breath. Keep going. Which way is easier? Which direction do you like better? One more time, we'll end up in child's pose. Perfect. When you get to Balasana, just rest there for a moment. And then reach the arms behind you. Palms together, interlace the fingers, yoga mudra. So draw the shoulder blades in towards each other. See if you can straighten out the arms. Let's make this option A, shall we? Option B is lifting the hips straight over the knees so you roll onto the top of the head in rabbit pose. So I have a few things to say about rabbit pose. If you have blood pressure issues, you need to be cautious about being in an inversion, upside down. Secondly, you want to be on the very top flat part of your head. This is not on the forehead. And then thirdly, if you got into rabbit with the arms overhead in yoga mudra and you don't like it or the shoulders are not happy, you don't have to keep the arms there. You could release them back down to the floor. You could reach back for the heels, rounding out the shoulders and taking them in the opposite direction. So a lot of choices, a lot of little adjustments here. Wherever you're at, deep inhale. Loud exhale. Good job. We're going to slowly release the arms back down first, unless you've already done so, which is totally fine, right? And then from here, you might just let your head shift a little bit, so now you are more at the front part of the forehead rather than on top of your head. I still have my head on the mat. I'm just going to take my left leg and slide it all the way out to the side in gate pose. So I'm going to turn to face you guys because I know once I go forward, I'm off camera. Perfect. So push into the hands. Let's come all the way up on that right knee. I'm going to take my right arm behind me. Find your length. And then when you exhale, just slide that left hand down the leg into a side bend. Don't stop at the knee, below or above. And then let's turn the gaze upward. Just little adjustments, changing things up. Inhale here. Exhale, center. Release the hands to the earth. We can just easily switch legs from here without bringing the head back down. So let's take the right leg out to the side and gate. Foot's flat, toes face forward, and then come on up onto the supporting knee. Left hand behind you. Inhale. Exhale, side bend to the right. Gaze upward. Perfect. Inhale your way back up. Exhale, come back down to table. We're going to tuck the toes. Let's take this to downward facing dog. Walk it out for a moment. As you settle into stillness in this pose, feel your hands pushing the mat away from you so you can get the sit bones up a little bit more. The heart has room to soften, right? Keep that alignment as you lift the heels up as high as they'll go. So just be cautious of lifting the heels and letting the upper body move forward as though it were heading into plank. Breathe here. Let's bend the knees, come into crouching dog. And then take your gaze forward so you can see the space between your hands, and that's where we want the feet, however you choose to get there. Forward fold, Uttanasana. From here, inhale monkey. And let it go. Reverse swan dive, however you have room in your space to do so. And take the hands to the heart. We're going to shift the weight into the left foot. Drop the right hand. Find your balance, especially if you're on carpet. And then go ahead and grab that right foot, pull it in gently. So if you can, trying to align the knees and the thighs, pull the heel in toward the glute without creating this big arch in the spine, right? So draw the stomach in. Good job. From here, let go of that foot, bring it up into crane in front of you, hands to the heart. Now take that right foot, step it all the way back. Low lunge, so bring your hands to the earth. We'll keep that back thigh lifted for a moment. Remember, a little adjustment. So I want you to rock back and forth on that right foot. See how far you can get over the toes. How far can you push back into that heel? We want to warm up here. We're going to be in lizard quite a bit. Hope that excites you. If not, you need to make an adjustment to what your mind is saying right now. Perfect. So let's go ahead and set that back knee down. I want you to keep the toes tucked. Usually I say untuck the toes, keep them tucked. Come on up with the upper body and just rest your hands on that front thigh. So the slight adjustment we're going to make here is tighten up the right glute. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And you'll notice if you want to try this out, if you untuck the foot, it's a different feeling. It's a little, I don't know, it's just not as effective, which is why we keep that back foot engaged. So tighten, 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 breathe. Nice, bring the hands back down. Lift that back leg, three-legged dog, left leg up. Move around a little bit, loosen up. Good job. Lower that leg down into dog. Come forward into plank. Here's your first vinyasa, which is chaturanga, cobra, down dog. All right, when you're ready, feel the hands pushing you back again. Lift the heels without taking the shoulders forward. Bend the knees, crouching dog, gaze forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, monkey. and let it go. Reverse swan dive. Hands to the heart. We're shifting the weight into the right foot. Left hand is reaching back behind you to grab that foot, draw it in. Can you feel the little adjustments that your right foot is making right now? Trying to, catch yourself as it moves back and forth. Release that foot, bring it up into crane. We're stepping back to lunge, bring the hands to the earth, and rock it out. So when you're ready, bring the back knee down, keep the toes tucked. Upper body rises, hands rest on that front thigh. Squeeze that left glute. Keep squeezing, don't hold your breath. So see, some of the little adjustments can feel kind of intense. Breathe. Soften, release the hands to the earth. Lift that back knee, three-legged dog, right leg up. Again, you can wiggle around here, make some adjustments as you need to. And then set that leg down, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Find cobra. And we'll meet in dog. Walk it out a little bit. Perfect. Feet are walking forward, forward fold. Take it to monkey, Ardha Uttanasana. Hold it right there, breathe. Right leg, stepping back for lunge. Let's keep the hands down again here. What I want you to notice, the fine adjustment we're making is in the back foot. I want you to notice how far back you're pushed into the heel or how far forward you're on the toes. Can you try to get the heel right above the ball of the foot? Find that breath. Okay, three-legged dog, left leg up. Let's go ahead and open that into flying pigeon. So left hip turns to the ceiling, that left knee bends, the foot gently falls behind you. 3 deep breaths. Nice. Go ahead and re-square the hips. Bring that left knee to your heart. Lift that back heel. So my spine is rounded, my head is dropped, core plank. And then I'm going to take my gaze to my hands. And I'm going to set that left leg down for pigeon. So left knee behind the left hand, left foot behind the right hand. It's the back leg that moves to adjust you here. So a couple of things, especially if you're new to pigeon, it can be a challenging pose. Your front leg does not have to be parallel to the front edge of your mat. In most cases, it probably won't be. Wherever you do have that foot, you want to be balanced in the hips. We're not tipping into the left hip. So if you're tipped over and you're stuck, I need you to grab that front foot, pull it back towards the right hip so you can get back up on top, which will be easier. Also, can you look behind you for a second? That back knee and the shin should be face down to the floor. Your ankle should be in a straight line with the leg. All right, once we have that alignment, you can kind of do whatever you want to here in pigeon, right? If you want to stay seated, sit up nice and tall. If you'd prefer, you might come down onto your forearms. And if you're totally reserving energy for this vinyasa that's going to evolve on the mat. You might come all the way into a fold. Completely up to you. Try not to be entering into pain. Pigeon's a decent stretch. If it's tough on the front knee, I don't think you should do it. You could instead flip over into a supine pigeon, which looks like this. It's the same stretch in the hip. So ahimsa, listening to your body, making whatever adjustment you need, and perhaps you're thinking, well, flipping over was a big adjustment. It wasn't a little one. That's okay. Sometimes that's the case that needs to be, right? All right, so hanging out in pigeon for a moment. Finding that breath. Gandhi wrote, adaptability is not a limitation. It means power of resistance and assimilation. Just because we have to change does not mean it's a weakness we have, a flaw. In fact, finding those little ways to change, I think, are actually more of a strength, especially on your yoga mat. When you're following what's going on in the front of the room, to be able to make changes as you need them, I think that's quite a characteristic to have. All right, let's assess where we're at, because we're probably all in different kind of pigeon poses here. Let's come back up into the hands. I'm going to plant them in front of me, tuck the back toes, lift that leg, send the left leg back to plank, everybody's favorite pose, right? Are you a straight line from your ankles to your shoulders? Deep inhale, chaturanga. Find your cobra. Hold cobra, don't hold the breath. And if you want to move around and find some change here, go ahead. Perfect. So we're going to bring the heart back down. Slide the hands back a little bit farther, more toward the low ribs, because we're coming up into upward facing dog. So we're going to need the arms back farther. Lift the heart, push the ground away. You should be resting on your hands and the tops of the feet. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Deep breath. Let's slowly walk the feet forward to Uttanasana, forward fold. Hang out here for a moment. If you want to, you could take the arms into ragdoll. You could take the arms behind you into yoga mudra. And then slowly release the hands. That left foot is stepping back for lunge. And again, this is where we made our first little adjustment. We were deciding, that back foot where the placement was, and can you get the heel right over the ball of that foot? Hold it there for a moment. And then three-legged dog, right leg up. Take it right into flying pigeon. Can you close your eyes here for a second? Notice the breath. Perfect. So as you square off the hips, pull the right knee into the heart for core plank. So the back heel lifts, weight shifts forward, shoulders over the wrists, head is heavy. And then slowly set that right leg down for pigeon. Again, make the adjustments that you need to. Turn around, look behind you, double check that back leg. You'll know, if If that back knee is not facing down, you are probably tipped over into a hip. So that's a good sign to look for. And then again, decide where you want to hang out here. We'll take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, bring the weight back into the hands in front of you. Tuck the back toes, lift that leg, step back to plank. Chaturanga. Into cobra. Remember, we held cobra, so let's do it again. Let's soften the shoulders. Decide for you where cobra should be. You might add some movement, loosening up the spine. And then come on back down, slide the hands further back, upward facing dog when you're ready. To downward facing. Strong inhale. Exhale. Come back to forward fold, however you choose to get there. So hanging out for a moment in forward fold, I want you to notice what little adjustments you could make there. For instance, where's the weight in your feet? So you might try shifting the weight around to find that out. Shift the weight back into the heels, and then come forward into the toes. You know, move your hands as you need to support you here. Come back to center. Maybe you tip onto the outer edges of both feet. We're being a little dramatic. And then come onto the inner edges. Spread the toes wide, set them back down, find center. And as you come down into your fold, ideally we're looking for the hips to be over the ankles. And, you know, I put ideally in quotes. One more breath here. I'm going to bend into the knees, round my way all the way up. Let's take the arms up. Bring the palms together and take them back to the heart. So I promised you guys we were going to hang out in lizard a little bit. And so that'll be a nice place. It'll be your new Svasana. You know, we catch our breath and we rest. But to get there, I want to pick up the pace first. So bear with me. Yeah. We're only going through one namaskar to get there. So I won't let you get too out of breath. As you're ready, take your arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Take it to monkey. Step or jump back to plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, come back down, slide the hands further back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Float the right leg up, three-legged, try to keep the hips level. Open up into flying, there's a wall behind me, flying pigeon. Perfect. Right foot is stepping all the way forward between the hands, high lunge, take the arms all the way up. Find your balance. Get that back heel over the ball of the foot. Upper body twist, left arm forward, right arm behind you. Deepen that breath. You have this, sink a little deeper. Woo. Nice. Come back to center with the upper body, hands to the heart. Release the hands to the earth, back leg steps forward, forward fold. Inhale, monkey. Exhale, take it back to plank. Chaturanga. Into cobra. Release cobra, slide the hands further back. Upward facing dog. Downward facing. Send the left leg up behind you, three-legged. Into flying pigeon. Good job, step that left foot forward, high lunge. Upper body twist, right arm forward, left arm behind you. Sink this down. Come back to center, hands to the heart. Release the hands. Step back to Balasana, child's pose. Whew. I don't know about you, but this office turns into a sauna with the door closed. But if I didn't have the door closed, there'd be two dogs that I hear whining down in the first floor. They'd be in here with us. So what are you gonna do? Adjustments. Soften the breath. Appreciate Balasana. Change something up. Maybe you're pushing the hands into the mat further so the hips settle back. Maybe you're more conscious of letting the ribs sink down towards the earth. Maybe you shift your focus to breathing into the back space. Maybe you kind of massage out the forehead. Just let the head rotate from side to side on your mat. All right, that's enough of a break. Come up into table. All right, right leg behind you, left arm forward. We were in the middle of pulling the knee and elbow in, rounding the spine. Inhale, open back up. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, stretch it out. Last one, pull it in, hold it there. Set the left hand down. And then let's go ahead and take that right leg, stretch it out behind you. Let the left leg join in for plank. Right leg is stepping forward outside the right hand for our first lizard. Nice. Breathe. So I don't know about you, when I get the lizard for the first time, I like to move. You might want to soften the hips. You might add a little twist. It's totally up to you. We're going to move it around. And then go ahead and set the back knee down. Untuck that foot. Perfect. I'm going to take my right hand and rest that arm on my right knee. Breathe. Let's make this option A. Option B is going to be a twist and lizard. My right hand is reaching back, snapping that back foot to attention, and seeing if it'll rise for you to grab onto it. The adjustment you might need to make here is to let the hips back off. If that is too tight in the left quad, do not suffer through it, right? Breathe. Release that foot if you grabbed onto it. Bring the right hand back to the earth inside of that right foot. We're going to tuck the back toes, lift that leg, step back to plank. Inhale here. Let go of the breath. Step the left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. Move it around if you need to in this pose. All right, set the back knee down. Take the left arm to rest on the left knee. And then if you want to, stay here, or left hand reaches behind you, asks that foot behind you to come on up, and you draw it in. We're going to release that foot, set the hand back down, come back to table. Perfect. Left leg out behind you, right arm forward in cat balance, big inhale. Exhale, pull the knee and the elbow in, round it out. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, pull it in. One more. Oops. Come back to table. Open up the knees, take it to child's pose. So we'll add on a different little adjustment. It's just kind of my favorite way to be in child's pose. With the arms out in front of you, I like to turn my head. So turn your head to the right, allowing the left temple to rest on the floor. Of course, my favorite way in child's pose might not be yours. So if you don't like that, change it up. Stay with the breath. Do I tell you the next story now? Do I wait? If I tell it to you now, that implies you get to hang out here for a while. I don't know. Still feel like we have some work to do, don't you? Go ahead, turn your head to the other side. Rest the right temple to the floor. All right, deep inhale. Exhale, bring the head back to center. Come into table. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Float the right leg up, three-legged. Go ahead and open up into flying pigeon again. Right foot, stepping forward outside of the right hand for lizard. Soften into the pose. So if you can just pause here to look at me so I can give you two variations of what we're going to do. The first one, we're heading into a side plank. The first one, if you want a supported side plank, is going to be to drop that back leg and untuck the toes. And then as I roll onto the outer edge of that back foot, and you might need to slide this leg a little further in towards you. It's up to you. As I come on the outer edge of the back foot, I'll be able to lift my hip and send my right arm up. That's option A. Option B would be to start rolling on the outer edge of the back foot as the front leg comes all the way back and takes you up. So choose the one you want to do. I'll wait for you. Give it a shot. When you're ready, come on back to plank. Chaturanga. Let's find cobra and hang out here till everybody catches up. Add some character to cobra. Perfect. Come on down with the heart. Push up into table. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Float the left leg up, three-legged. Flying pigeon when you're ready. Step the left foot forward to the outside of that left hand for lizard. And then remember, you decide as we head into side plank, do you want to drop that back knee so it's a supported side plank, or do you want to keep it lifted? So totally up to you. Go ahead and find your pose when you're ready. When you're done, release the arm, come back to table, and just sit back on the heels. Yeah. So I don't know about you, but adding in these small adjustments, my wrists are kind of feeling this morning. So let's pause, do what we need to do. Go ahead, drop that right wrist and just massage it out for a moment. And then switch to the other hand. Maybe while we're doing this, I'll tell you the story. So there's an old Zen story about this great wrestler. His name is Onami, great waves. And he's a brilliant wrestler. In a private bout, he can beat anybody, even his teachers. But in a public bout, he becomes very shy and bashful, and even his students can throw him to the ground. Go ahead, send the right arm out in front of you, like flex the hand so the palm's facing me. Take the left hand up on top and just gently pull the fingers back. So he decides that maybe he should go see a Zen master to help him out. Coincidentally, there was a visiting master in a temple nearby, and so Onami went to explain his situation. Switch hands. And the Zen master said, well, your name means great waves. So what I want you to do is I want you to spend the night in the temple, and I want you to be the waves. Go ahead, release the hands to your legs and close your eyes. He said, I want you to envision that you are these strong, powerful waves that sweep everything out of your way. And I'll come back and find you in the morning. Take a deep breath here and let it go. During the night, Onami started out with just a myriad of thoughts moving through his head. He had a hard time at first being the waves, but eventually, as the night went on, he started to meld more with that concept. He became small waves, and they became a little bigger, and then he became these huge, great waves, and soon the waves that he was envisioning overtook the flowers and the vases within the temple, and they overtook the Buddha shrine until by morning, the whole temple was this ebb and flow of a vast sea. The Zen master came back in the morning to find Onami meditating quietly with this peaceful smile on his face. And he said, see, you're ready now. You are the great waves. You can sweep anything out before you. And so later that day, Onami entered a wrestling contest and he won. And from that day forward, he never lost. The heck does that story mean? I'm going to tell you in a second. Come on down onto your backs. Hug the knees into the heart. And then go ahead and set the feet down, prep for bridge. What I want you to notice about that story is the only adjustment Onami made was to his mind. Now, saying only makes that sound like that's super easy. The mind is kind of tough to take over and control, right? It likes to control us. But that was the only adjustment he made. Go ahead, let the arms come down alongside you if you haven't already. When you're ready, lift up into bridge. Tuck the shoulders underneath you a little bit. I want you to imagine you have a yoga block between your thighs. You're gently pushing in on that block. So we're just keeping the legs in place. Squeeze the heck out of the glutes. Don't hold your breath. And don't turn your head in this pose like I'm doing. Keep breathing. Keep squeezing. The breath is pleasant, peaceful, happy. Good job. Soften and slowly come back down to the mat. Stay here for a breath. This time, I want you to lift the toes off of the mat. Push the balls of the feet into the earth, lift the hips. So we're keeping the toes lifted. Squeeze in on your imaginary block, tighten the glutes, soften the breath. Keep breathing. Good job. Soften, float back down, set the toes down. I don't know about you, this bridge pose affects my knees quite a bit, so I'm going to hug my knees in for a break. If you want to, go ahead. And then set the feet back down. So normally I would say, you totally can do this. For me, when my knees hurt in bridge, I lift the heels up off the ground because that relieves that pressure, but we're still doing something different, and I'm going to hang in there with you. So go ahead and get those shoulders tucked under. Lift up into bridge. Squeeze that imaginary block. And then squeeze the glutes and come on to the heels of the feet. So now you can see why I didn't want to lift my heels. I'd be floating in midair if that were possible. Only the heels are on the ground. Breathe, squeeze, soft breath. You're not holding it. Aren't these little adjustments fun? Deep inhale. Exhale, release everything. And let's stretch out the legs. Take the hands to rest on your abdomen and close your eyes for a moment. You might notice, incrementally parts of the body letting go. Like maybe the shoulders are just softening, and then maybe you feel the low back release, and maybe you feel the ankles fall open. Or maybe the second I said, stretch out your legs, you were already there. Everything had let go. There was peace. Okay. Let's go ahead and hug that right knee in. I want you to flex the left foot, push the back of the left thigh down. We're going to take the right leg into an upside down lunge. And so I kind of like to get my shin straight up and down or perpendicular between the floor and the ceiling, as if I flipped over, I'd be in a lunge. So a couple of different ways we can do this if you can't reach the foot to do so. You could grab behind the thigh. And the further you pull this leg in, the less the shin might want to go perpendicular. So give it some room. It's okay. Right? Breathe. Explore. Find where you can be in this pose. Keep pushing the back of the left thigh down. Right hand to the inner sole of the right foot. Let that knee go wide. Half happy baby. Notice that the shin in this pose tries to stay perpendicular to the floor and ceiling as well. You might want to let the left hand rest on the left hip as a reminder to keep pushing that side of the body down. And then I'm going to take the right leg, pull it across me, and hug it in. My right hand is hanging onto the right knee. I'm going to keep it there. The left hand's going to let go of the foot. You'll feel the foot kind of just start to swing back into place. Hug that right knee back in. Keep the left hand on the knee. I'm just going to take my right hand, now you can hear my dog whining, and bring it behind my head. Take that supine twist to the left. Try to keep the right shoulder down. I'm going to slowly bring that right hip back to the mat. Free my right arm. Extend the right leg all the way down. Now close your eyes here for a second and just notice the subtle differences perhaps between the right leg and the left. And then go ahead and hug the left leg in. Flex the right foot, push the back of the right thigh down. Remember, we're coming into the upside down lunge, so we're gonna try to get that shin up and down, whatever you need to do. Maybe you grab a strap and you really give that leg some freedom. It's totally up to you. Left hand to the inner left sole. Let the left knee go wide as you pull that leg down into half happy baby. Right hand resting on the right hip as a subtle reminder. Gently pull that left leg across the body to cradle it. Consciously aware of the left hand against the left knee. Keep it there. Let the right hand go. The foot will kind of swing back into place where we can hug that knee back in. Keep the right hand on top of that knee. Left hand behind the head. When you're ready, take your supine twist all the way to the right. And then slowly return that left hip to the ground. You'll free that left arm. Straighten out the leg. Here's where you're going to grab whatever props you want for Shavasana. And I don't know, maybe give Shavasana just a moment of thought. Do you want to make any adjustments? Do you want to throw a prop somewhere you don't usually have it? If you always put the blanket underneath the head, do you want to move it to on top of the abdomen as a gentle weight? And when you're ready, close your eyes. Remember when we started this session, we scanned the body. We were just looking for little adjustments we could make. What little adjustments can you make right now? Is the entire body comfortable, free to let go, at peace? And then if you recall, we shifted our focus from the physical body to the mental and spiritual. So again, taking a moment to consider, is the mind now at peace? If you are completely peaceful, rested, you're ready to drift off in Shavasana, you can totally tune me out. If you're finding, I don't know, my mind still needs a little guidance, then hang in there with me, follow my voice. Let's begin to visualize what Onami was working on, being these magnificent ways, but we're in Shavasana. I don't want to be a huge wave right now. I just want to start small, right? And so if you're normally seasick, let's set the intention that you are not. And if you don't like fish, there's nothing in the water. You get my drift, right? So just start to feel a flow of energy gently moving through the body. It is hypnotic, mesmerizing. It is so peaceful. It definitely has your attention. You allow the curiosity of the mind to just follow that really subtle movement. Feeling your body become the wave. Feeling any thoughts in the mind releasing into the waves, being swept away. You might even be able to hear that really peaceful sound of waves moving forward and back. Here is where I leave you in Svasana. I'll come back for you soon. I want you to imagine that you are those strong waves, strong in spirit. I don't necessarily mean you're a huge aggressive wave. You're just powerful in your own space. And imagine that you, as the waves, are kind of pushing off towards the right. Let's also imagine that all it would take for you to shift to the left is the intention. That's it. Allow your mind to set that intention and imagine your waves that are pushing off to the left. So the point of our theme today is that we can make very tiny adjustments to help us mentally, physically, spiritually. It doesn't have to be some huge effort on our part, just something small. And trust me, the mind is so powerful that it might just be just a tweak to what the mind is perceiving. Go ahead and take a deep inhale and let it go. Bring some movement into the hands and the feet. And keeping your eyes closed, perhaps you decide to roll into a fetal position. And then make that little adjustment to push your way back up. All right, it might feel like a big adjustment to come back to a seated pose. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Really loud exhale. Take the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together and release them one last time today to your heart in prayer pose. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.